Tuning in to another great episode of Put You On podcast. I'm your host with the most, Shine Don. I'm rolling solo tonight, but I still have a great show for you. I'm happy that you're here. I love it when you're here. You guys inspire me to continue to do great things and come with great topics and have great guests. But tonight, I'm rolling solo, so it's just you and me, baby. Let's start with our opening. You are watching Put You On Podcast, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ, the coolest station in the world. I need you guys to call in tonight, man. I got some topics, man. It's a lot of stuff going on out here, and I need you to tap in with me. I would love to hear from you. Give us a call in at 313-355-6018 at any time. At any time during the show, if you feel like you want to tap in on and comment on any of my on anything that I'm talking about tonight, any of my events or sports or whatever it is I'm talking about, please, I'm nothing without you. So come on in, man. So tonight we are going to start off with our current events. I've been looking into something all week. I've been looking into Steve Harvey and Monique and what Monique has been going through. You know, Monique has been going through a lot these last couple years in regards to boycotting. She boycotted Netflix. You know, she had an issue with D.L. Hughley. She had an issue with Lionsgate, Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, and Lee Daniels. But the biggest thing that I want to touch base on is her interview that she did with Steve Harvey, and black folks being called sellouts. You know, we use that word. I personally think that we overuse that phrase, sellout. You know, you a sellout. You know, you a sellout to black people. You know, you a sellout. You sold me out. You sold me out for some type of reason or something, right? And I want to kind of bring some light, a positive light, to the word or the phrase sellout, so we can stop overusing it so much. You know, what Monique did is Monique wanted to blackball. She wanted to blackball Netflix. Now I want you to keep in mind that Netflix is worth over $178 billion. I don't want to get into what Monique is worth, but I'm pretty sure it's not 100 and something $billion. You know what I'm saying? She felt like that she was underpaid. Steve Harvey, I mean not Steve Harvey, I'm sorry. Dave Chappelle, it was Dave Chappelle, Will Smith, and there's a few other actors and actresses that received a substantial amount of money for their talent. Well, Monique felt like she was being underpaid, and she felt like she needs to blackball Netflix, and she wanted us to stop supporting Netflix. It kind of reminded me of the Kanye West thing. You know, I want you to not support these people. You know, like stop buying and stop spending your money with these people. But that is a big tree to climb, because there's more people that spend good money that support these brands. You know. So what happens is Monique does an interview with Steve Harvey because she felt as if Steve Harvey has done her wrong. She felt like Steve Harvey and other black men in entertainment was supposed to stick by her. She made a decision. She made a decision to try to protest against Netflix and try to get people to follow her, right? She wanted Steve Harvey to follow her. That's why I mentioned Steve Harvey. And she told Steve Harvey that the integrity of the business that they're in is not there anymore. And I get that. Black don't stick with black. Black don't stick with black outside of entertainment. I'm not here to shame black people. I love my people. I'm black. But Monique's case was that the African American men and women in the business that she's in was supposed to stand by her and stick by her and stand up for her. More so, put their careers up for her. They were supposed to stand up for her and stand by her. But I want you to keep in mind there's something very important to this. She did a comedy show, a stand-up, and during her stand-up, she said she mentioned Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, and Oprah Winfrey. And she said that if she had a you know what, they can suck her you know what. Those are pretty harsh words. Those are pretty harsh words when you're talking about powerful people. As we know, since then, Monique hasn't done much. We haven't seen Monique out there. Monique hasn't. She hasn't been out there as much as we was used to seeing her when they did the Queens of Comedy, and she had her own sitcom, and she was doing movies. She did Precious, amongst other great films that she's done. But since she decided to go in this direction, and she's made the remarks that she made against other powerful black people, they wanted to do with her, right? So she goes on Steve Harvey and she says that we lost integrity as a people. And Steve Harvey mentions to her, he says to her that this isn't a integrity game. This isn't a black and white game. This isn't a you're right and you're treating me wrong game. It's a money game. And he felt like she missed that. She let her emotions and the point that she's trying to prove cost her bag. During the beginning of the interview, she went on to say that her family is suffering because of this. She's struggling because of this. Now, she married her manager, okay? Which means that she's being led in the wrong direction because this brother has, please forgive me for not knowing his name or not knowing his name. I looked him up, but I didn't put his name in my notes. But her husband is her manager. And he's standing by her, and I can only imagine that he's pushing his narrative on her, making her believe that she's right, you know? And she kept mentioning her husband. Like, every time she spoke about herself, she said something about her husband, you know? And Monique, well, she didn't want to listen. And Steve Harvey was telling her, he said something that was very important to me. He said, if I crumble, my wife crumbles. My grandkids crumble. My kids crumble. For what? Because I'm trying to prove a point? Because I'm trying to prove a point, I lose everything that I worked for to help you, and you done went on stage and told these people to blah, 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 right? So now I'm a sellout. I sold you out, right? You made a decision to bash Netflix, bash Lee Daniels, bash Tyler Perry, bash Lionsgate Films, bash Oprah Winfrey. Who tears down? Who tries to tear down Oprah Winfrey, right? And she basically went on to call Steve Harvey a sellout. Is Steve Harvey a sellout? Is he a sellout because he didn't want to stand by you and drown with you because you made a decision? Steve Harvey said something that was really, really important. He says that he told her that it's a lot that comes along with the truth. Whenever you speak the truth, it's a lot that comes behind it, especially in the entertainment world when there's other ethnic groups that pays you, right? You made a decision, right? He said you got to play the game. It's a game that you have to play. Is he a sellout or is he playing the game? Me personally, I feel like that's unfair to Steve Harvey. I feel like a lot of successful African American, whether they're actors, whether they're journalists, whatever the case may be, they play the game. From Stephen A. Smith, Denzel Washington, even Candace Owens. They play the game. They do their job. They respect their job first. They understand that they have a job to do. And they do their job and they go home. But us, as the African American culture, we tend to think that if we don't stand by each other or we don't stick up for each other against another race over a certain narrative that's been put out there, then we'll sell out. Am I supposed to jeopardize my family? Imagine this. I go home and I tell my wife, I said, wife, I got fired from work today. You got 3, 4 kids at home. You got a beautiful home. You got a couple cars. Your whole household is being ran based off of your income, right? And you go home and you have to look your wife in the eye or your husband in the eye and say, hey, baby, I don't have a job anymore because I told my manager that he was a piece of shit over something that happened, and I feel like they can go to hell. And they told me to never come back here again. And I got to go home and tell my wife that, baby, I'm not getting paid the money that I was making because I stuck up for a cause. I fought for a cause. Am I a sellout? Would you be happy? I mean, I can see like in the 60s during the Black Panther Party days era and during other eras of the black struggle, us as blacks, we figured it out. We did what we could do. You know, we had different groups. We had churches. We had all different types of groups to be able to support us when it came to fighting for our blackness, right? Being black came first. Being black came first before the money. We wanted to be respected first. We wanted to be able to uphold a level of standard in the workforce. But it kind of made me think about Kanye West. You know, I don't know. In my salon, I would talk to my customers and my staff, and it would always take me back to Kanye West because Kanye West fought for a cause. Kanye West was worth over $11 billion worth, right? And then he decided to push the narrative that the Jewish community and white people had a certain agenda against the African American community, the entertainment business, the film industry, and he wanted to push that. What happened to Kanye West? We haven't seen Kanye West. We haven't heard from Kanye West. We haven't heard any music. He's been quiet. I think he's been popping up on social media every once in a while in Paris or Fashion Week. I just seen Kanye West in New York Fashion Week with a Jews Lives Matter shirt on. Even one of the owners at Adidas spoke on Kanye West and told the publication that he was interviewing with that he didn't believe Kanye West meant what he said, and he believes that what Kanye West said was taken out of proportion. This segment of my show was not about Kanye West. It's just about our position when we work for people. When we work for people and we depend on somebody to pay us, right? We make the decision to work for somebody that pays us. We depend on those funds, that money to be there for us when it's time for it to be there, so we can be able to take and do for our family, right? Now back to Monique. Steve Harvey told her, like I said earlier, Steve Harvey told her, if I crumble, my whole family crumbles. What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to stick my neck out there for you because you made a decision, but you didn't think about what you were saying before you said it. You didn't think about the repercussions of what you were saying before you said it. You just went on a limb and just expected that us in the same community was going to stand by you, you know. And I just don't agree with the whole sellout thing. I think that we overpush that. I think that we need to be smarter, you know. If me and you work in the same place and you have a problem with our boss, you say to hell with this job. I'm going to start a protest in front of the building. Me and you was cool. You come back to the workstation, the workspace, and you say, "Hey man, the hell with these people. They did A, B, C, and D, and blah 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 to me, and I don't want nothing to do with them no more. And I'm going to protest. You want to come with me?" And I say, "Nah, bruh, not me. I don't have nothing to do with that. I'm a sellout because I know tomorrow if I go outside with you, I'm going to get a pink slip." This reminds me, my salon is in the Greenfield Plaza, the Dread Hut. We specialize in natural hair, locks, braids. And a few years ago, one of the owner of the Greenfield Plaza had a verbal confrontation with a young lady. It was a very, very bad exchange of verbiage, right? He said some things he probably shouldn't have said. She said some things that she wouldn't have said. Well, in result, it went through social media. New Era Detroit got a hold of it. Shout out to New Era Detroit. They are doing wonderful things in the community. I would like to get Zeke and maybe 2 or 3 of their members to come sit down with me to talk about more community efforts that they're doing. I support them. This young lady, well, the footage from the incident reached New Era Detroit. New Era Detroit said, "Hey, we're not going to stand for this in our community when it's African Americans making you money. We're going to protest. We're going to do a protest in front of the Greenfield Plaza." And during that protest, well, if you don't know, we have a legal right. We have the freedom of speech. The state owns the main streets. The city owns the sidewalks. So no matter where your business is, if you own a property, you don't own the sidewalk. So you can easily go down to the city county building in whatever city and get a permit to protest. So it's not like the owner of the Greenfield Plaza can go outside and say everybody got to leave, right? Because if they have a permit, he doesn't own the sidewalk. He doesn't own Greenfield. We don't own 8 Mile. We don't own 7 Mile. The state owns those streets, and the city owns the sidewalks and the driveways, even in front of your house, right? They can come in front of your house and they can dig up your front yard for a whole month, and you can't say nothing about it. They put a note on your door, but it's nothing that you can do. Why? Because it's city and state property. So New Era Detroit comes to the Greenfield Plaza. We have tenants. We have the public that's protesting in front of the Greenfield Plaza. And the goal was to get every African American tenant that rented space in the Greenfield Plaza to protest, to come join, to leave. They had a promise that if you join the protest or if you get on their mailing list or whatever, they will help you find another place to run your business. Well, imagine this. If you've been inside of the Greenfield Plaza for over 10 years, at that time I was in the Greenfield Plaza for like 7, 8 years, right? Imagine if I said, okay, I'm with you guys, and I sacrifice my business that employs other people, that helps other people feed their family. I go out here and I put my fist up and I walk up and down the street with a sign, right? Well, eventually the owner probably is going to tell me you probably should go move on with them. Well, if I move on with them, where are they going to take me? Where am I going? Where I'm going to take my business, my customers, my staff, and everything I work for in that establishment? Where are you going to lead me to? I'm not saying the New Era Detroit is bad. I'm just saying that, am I a sellout? Did I sell my people out because I chose to keep my business where I was established? Because I chose to not protest and leave this establishment? You know, the owner, he's been good to me. I can say that. He's been good to me. He gave me an opportunity. He gave me a place to be able to run my business. He gave me the space. He trusted me with real estate inside of his business to make a living for myself, to feed myself, feed my children, and most importantly, to provide opportunity for other people, right? I've helped so many people that worked inside of my salon. I was able to teach in the Greenfield Plaza. I was able to grow my business in the Greenfield Plaza, and the Greenfield Plaza has been good to me. Uh, am I a sellout? Because I'm not. I don't want to go outside with y'all and put my fist up and walk up and down the street because somebody had a verbal altercation with the owner. So now he ain't shit. And if I don't come outside with y'all, I ain't shit. So listen, I had reached out to there's a local lemonade company, right? I wanted to buy some of their lemonades in bulk and put my logo on it and sell them, right? When I told him that I was in the Greenville Plaza, he hung up on me, which is fine. But look at the backlash that I got by not following my people. Am I a sellout? You know? So I think that we overuse the word sellout. You know, I think that us as blacks, I think we need to do better. I think we need to lower our expectations when it comes to each other. I think that everybody's not a sellout that doesn't follow you. Again, imagine going home telling your wife that you lost your job today because your homeboy went outside and wanted to protest against the company that pays your bills. You're a worker. You decided to be a worker. And you got to go home and tell your wife that you lost your job because you went to go protest with your coworker, right? Of course the owners is not going to want you there anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because you protested against them, you know? So it's going to make it hard for you, you know? As far as Monique go, you know, God bless her. I think she's extremely funny. I've been following Monique for some time now. But I feel like she put herself in a position where she put herself on a lonely island. She was drowning and expected other people to drown with her. And if other people wouldn't decide to drown with her, they was considered to be sellouts. So, do I agree? No. Do I feel like we overuse that term? Yes. And I just feel like we need to give each other a little more grace. And not only that, we need to make better decisions. That was a bad decision by her, you know. And we haven't even seen Monique. We don't know what Monique's got going on. But my God, you told Oprah to suck it. You told Tyler Perry to suck it. Like, my goodness, like Tyler Perry, Oprah, 50 Cent, Lee Daniels, like just to name a few, is ahead of black entertainment right now. And you decided to go against $178 billion company by yourself, like Kanye West decided to go against Adidas by himself. He made a decision to go up against Gap by himself, but then got mad when entertainers didn't tell him where his children was when his children had a birthday party, and they didn't call him and tell him because he didn't know. Like, it was their business to get on the phone and say, "Hey, did you know?" Listen, man, it's 2023. You know, I know there was a time when African Americans stood by each other like that, but we no longer live in those days. And I want to hear from you. You know, this is just my point of view. I want to hear from you. What would you do? You know, if you were stuck in the same predicament, you know, would you, if you knew something wrong was going on in your company or where you work at, would you stand by your company and would you mind your business? You know, or would you try to make a statement? You know, Steve Harvey said that this isn't a black or white thing. This isn't a integrity thing. It's a money game. And we're here to make money. And we knew that when we started out, we was working for somebody. You knew that when you signed up to work for Netflix, you were working for somebody. Now all of a sudden you pocket watching. Uh-oh. You pocket watching. You watching what he make, what she make, what he make. and you feel like you're not making the same amount. So you want to voice your opinion, and not only that, you want to blacklist the company. It didn't work out for you. It will never work out for us. If we don't own it, if we don't own it ourselves, it will never ever work out. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, "Do for self or suffer consequences." Dame Dash got his own company. It didn't work out with Rockefeller. It didn't work out with other film companies. So what did he do? He make his own movies. He may not be able to do as much. He may not have as much publicity. He may not be advertised as much. But whatever it is that he's bringing it in independently. He's independent. So you can never, I'm not going to say bite the hand that feeds you, but they're feeding you. I want to give the station ID real quick. I have another point I want to make before I move on to my next current event in the show. You're watching Put You On Podcast live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Please, please call me. I would love to hear from you. Our station telephone number is 355-313-355-6018. Again, 355-6018. If you guys don't know much about Sean, I am a sports guy. I write for the Detroit Smart Pages. I've been with the Detroit Smart Pages for over 5 years. And I used to work for ESPN. I worked for ESPN for 2 years. I went into ESPN with the goals to become a talent. When I first sought out in television, it was a dream to be a cameraman. But over my time and my experience and going from Specs Howard School of Media Arts to Fox 2 to ESPN, obviously my dreams got bigger, right? So I go to ESPN and I say, not only do I want to be a talent, but I'm a barber. I have different talents. And I used to cut Stephen A. Smith hair every once in a while when he would come to Detroit. I will cut his hair because I worked in the barbershop, Sporty Cuts Barbershop on West 7 Mile, owned by Rob Parker. And I would cut Stephen A. Smith hair. And when I went to ESPN, I seen Stephen A. I seen him in the cafeteria. I ran up to him. I said, "Hey, Steve, remember me?" I said, "Man, I used to cut your hair on 7 Mile. I work here now." Stephen A. said, "Man, you got your clippers?" I said, "Yeah, they in my trunk right now." He said, "Well, can you cut my hair before I go on? I'm about to go on first take. Can you cut my hair?" I said, "Yeah." So I go on. I cut Stephen A. Smith hair, and they put it on TV, and it was a really great experience for me, might I add. But the point that I want to make is a lot of the talent that worked there at the time, they saw me trying to do different things. They saw me trying to move up the ladder a lot faster than the game is set out to play. I felt like I knew Stephen A. Smith. I felt like I was cutting Stuart Scott hair and Michael Smith, and I would even cut Rob hair a couple times. And I felt like I was that guy. Granted, I did my job. I would always have somebody come to me and they would say, "Play the game. You want to be here, you got to play the game." And when I was working there, I never knew what that was. And they would always tell me, if you play the game, you will get to everywhere you wanted to go. Just be easy. There was even talks of them doing a write-up on me, and I had just started working there. They had on their company website for employees, I think it was called like Front Row. You will be able to see what's going on in the company, who's doing what, who's hiring, this, that, and the other. And somebody even wanted to do a write-up on me because they were so fascinated with my story and where I came from and how I got to ESPN and me being a barber and cutting talent's hair in the green room and getting showed all this love. I ain't gonna lie, it kind of blew me up a little bit, So, excuse me. So a part of my contract being there, it was that you had to write you had to give show ideas to ESPN. They wanted fresh ideas from the new employees. And a part of my contract working there was that I had to give fresh show ideas. And by me being a barber already and having Stephen A. Smith on my clientele, Stuart Scott, rest in peace, on my clientele, Michael Smith, Mike Hill, I was servicing these brothers, and I felt like, okay, so let me say that one of my show ideas was to hold a barbershop segment at ESPN. It didn't hurt that I was already a barber and I was cutting hair for 10 years prior to me working there. But one of my show ideas was, why don't you guys build a barbershop set here and then hire a couple people that, or have a couple people that look like they cutting hair. And we could bring athletes in to sit down in the barber chair. It may be, we can make it look like they're getting their haircuts or whatever. But it'd be a good look for the company. Well, I remember a brother named Desmond called me into his office one time, and he told me that I was moving too fast. And he was an African American brother. He told me that I was moving too fast, and I needed to play the game to get to where I wanted to go. Again, me being so excited and being young and being happy to be there and having so much promise, I was already on TV my first 2 weeks there in the company. My first month there, I looked up. Somebody got a camera on me while I'm cutting Stephen A. Smith hair in the first take in the green room before he go on first take. So in my mind, I felt like I can do anything. Like I felt like I could climb the roof. There was no limits to how far I could get in this company, right? And his brother calls me in the office and he tells me that if we do, I'll never forget. He said, if we do decide to do a barbershop segment here at ESPN, you wouldn't be the barber. And I'll never forget that because I felt like I was capable and I was talented enough to be able to do that. I felt like I had value, and not only did I have value, I would be able to help ESPN. And I remember several producers and people who knew what I was trying to do, they would email me and say, man, come meet with me in the lunchroom. Come here, I want to talk to you. And they will all tell me, we see where you're trying to go, young man. We see what you're trying to do. But you have to play the game. I didn't go as far as Monique did with bashing people, but I didn't understand the game. And that's what it is. And I understand that now at 40 years old, that maybe if I did play the game the right way, I may still be there. We all have a destiny. You know, God places you and he gives you what he feels like is going to be good for you and how you're going to benefit and what he wants for you. You know, obviously, the time I spent at ESPN, I did learn a lot. I enjoyed myself, but I felt like maybe I would have been able to do more if I would have played the game, you know. So I would love to hear from you on this topic, 313-355-6018. You're watching Put You On podcast, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch and Twitter. We love it here. We love you. And it wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So please give me a call. We are going to move on with our show. Joe Biden came to Detroit today. As you know, the UAW and a lot of our automotive industry has went on strike. They're still on strike. And Joe Biden showed up in Michigan today. He flew in to support the strike and support that a lot of the workers want a 40% increase and they're not happy, and the big bosses in the automotive industry need to make a move. One thing I did not know is that the president does not have any influence with negotiations, right? Just because you're the president of the United States, it doesn't mean that you can come in and make a statement and then the automotive industry and the bosses and the heads of the companies is going to make a decision, right? But Donald Trump and Joe Biden is going to be running again next year during election. So it kind of surprises me that he didn't come here to get the big bosses to make a change. He came here for votes. I mean, tell me if I'm right or wrong, right? These people walked off the job not knowing what the future is going to be, have families, kids, tuitions, car notes, da 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 da. Trade all of that in for unemployment. Now, I do know that every some odd years, the plant goes on strike for whatever reason, right? I remember over my lifespan, there's been times where, on multiple occasions, where the plant will go on strike. But here's my question to you, and tell me if I'm wrong. I've never worked for the plant. I'm basing my opinion off of what I know, and I could be wrong. I'm here to also become educated. I don't know everything, but I'm here to talk to you, right? Someone at the shop told me that when they apply for unemployment, they're subject to get something around $500 a week. You walked off your job for $500 a week to try to get an increase on something that you don't even know if it's going to happen, right? Logically speaking, people's always applying to work for the plant. So what that means is they don't have to pay you. If the plant says we're not going to pay these people, then what happens? You don't go back to work? I can only imagine myself, again, going home to my wife saying, hey, wife, we went from making this amount of money every such and such time to now I'm only making this amount of money, and I need you to bear with me because I either have to A, find another job, or have to B, figure out what's going to go on at work because we're on strike, because we were demanding a higher pay. Again, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, do for self or suffer the consequences. The consequences of you not working for yourself is that you have to be okay with what you're making. Okay, you can strike. I hope everybody get what they deserve. I read it's a 40% increase, and I really, really, really hope that I sincerely pray that all of the automotive industry workers get what they feel like they're entitled to. Again, I've never worked for the automotive industry, so I can't speak on how much I can't speak on what's what. I can only speak on based off of the information that's given and what I see through the news and through publications that I read through the internet. I give up my job for $500 a week. Again, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, do for self or suffer the consequences. And this is a situation where I see what he's talking about. Because if you don't work for yourself, and you do work for a union, and you do work for the automotive industry, they can pay you what they want. They don't have to give you what you feel like you're entitled to. Say, for instance, they don't roll over. Say, for instance, they feel like we pay them people enough. We give them enough through benefits. We offer enough through unemployment. We give them hours. And we allow these people to be able to work for such and such amount of time before they retire. We give them the benefits that they need to survive. And they say we're not rolling over. Well, what happens? What happens if you've been working for the automotive industry for over 30 years and your plant decides they want to go on strike? What happens? Well, it's a trickle-down effect. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect your family, like Steve Harvey said. It's going to come down on me, my wife, my children, my grandkids. I work for somebody. And if they decide that they don't want to pay me more and they decide to move on, what if UAW decide to move on with your contract? What if they say, man, if you went on strike, we don't want you back? What happens? I mean, they're the ones paying out. They can do what they want, right? So I would encourage people to find their own way. Have a backup plan. Because when these things happen, you don't know what's going to happen. A lot of people over the years depend on the automotive industry to take care of them. The automotive industry has taken care of tons of people. One of my customers, artists, he's set for retirement, and it has something to do with his birthday and the amount of years that he's working. He's been working. He can't retire yet because he doesn't have the amount of years in, but he's at the age to retire. So he's stuck trying to figure out what it is that he's going to do. But artist has depended on the automotive industry for so many years, and he's looking at retirement, and they'll let him go. They'll let him retire based off of how many years he's been there, but they won't give him the benefits that he's entitled to because of his age. Right? When you work for somebody, these are certain things you have to deal with, right? So again, I would encourage people, man, to work for yourself, man. Find your own way. If you don't have no more than 15 years, knocking on 20 years with a company, I would encourage you to have a backup plan. Because when these things happen, what direction do you go in? You know what I'm saying? What do you do? I couldn't imagine going home telling my wife, hey, baby, we're going on strike, but the company hasn't responded, and as of right now, I'm unemployed. What do you do? What happens, right? You know, the unthinkable happens, right? You might be sleeping on the couch, right? So, moving on, BG, Entertainment, BG, Hot Boys. BG has been in prison for over 12, 13 years, and he is home, and he has taken the internet by storm. You know, there's been some images out there and, some opinions about what he's going to do with his career and his life since what's going on with BG, right? And after 12 years, he's free, right? So we want to give a big welcome home to BG. We're happy he's home, and stay out of prison, my brother. Moving on, and please call me. Two great topics. UAW strike, Monique called, black folks being labeled as sellouts. These are great topics. I would love to hear from you. You are watching Put You On Podcast, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. And you are watching your host with the most, Sean Don. I don't have a guest this week, but I am here and I'm having a good time with you. So if you want to give me a call, give me a call. I would love to hear from you. Our telephone number is 313-355-6018. Again, 313-355-6018. Give us a call. We're locked in on WJZZ, baby. That's it. It's the place to be. In sports, Gilbert Arenas, Agent Zero, went live. Hakeem Olajuwon, old Houston Rockets, drafted in the NBA in 1984, is charging new athletes $50,000 to be trained by him. And Gilbert Arenas says, man, you ain't played basketball in a long time. Those old moves that you had back then during your time, they don't even work anymore. You got 7-footers shooting 3-pointers. Everybody shooting the basketball. Everybody, they got hop steps, and these young boys have figured out all types of ways to be able to play the game now without committing a penalty, a travel, a double dribble. Like, they figured out another way to play the game. And Hakeem Olajuwon, at his age, is charging over $50,000 per session for an athlete to be able to come sit down with him or go to the gym with him and just to work out with him. Of course, players like Kobe Bryant, I believe Dwight Howard, Giannis just went public saying that he was going to go train with Hakeem Olajuwon. And Gilbert Arenas says, man, all you trying to do is make the money that you should have made when you was playing in the NBA. But obviously, the NBA and endorsements and sneaker endorsements wasn't paying out the kind of money that they paying now to athletes, and you trying to make your come up off of new athletes, right? I remember Hakeem Olajuwon's shoe was in Payless. You guys probably don't remember that. My mom actually bought me a pair, right? His shoes was in Payless, And I want to know how you feel. Like, as an athlete, would you pay an old athlete that kind of money to go get some game? We ain't talking about MJ, right? We're not talking about Larry Bird. We're not talking about uh throw him out there, Isaiah Thomas. You know, we're not talking about Scottie Pippen. We're not talking about uh Robert Parrish or even Magic for the sake, right? We're talking about Hakeem Olajuwon. I'm not trying to take away from Hakeem Olajuwon. I just want to know, would you pay somebody $50,000 for a hoop session just so somebody can show you their old moves that worked for them when they was playing in the game over 25, 30 years ago, right? So I don't believe, now I wouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Gilbert Arenas says nobody wants that Hakeem Olajuwon skyhook. You should be ashamed of yourself charging these young whippersnappers $50,000 when you came into the league at 1984. You wasn't getting $50,000 a game. You're trying to make money off the back of the youth. You know, Agent Zero, he has a way of expressing himself, but I don't think he's wrong. He also went on to say he is too old and those moves don't work. First of all, who wants to learn a move from somebody who did it in 1990? Anyways, he ain't been good since the 90s. That means any moves from the 2000s, he don't know. Who are you going to do the moves on? A rookie? I get that. Like, why would I pay you $50K for some stuff that you used to do in 1990 just because your resume shows that you were able to train the likes of Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, whatever. I'm not going to say that he's robbing athletes, but I will say $50K might be a bit much. Right? $50K for a training session for somebody that retired in the 90s, I don't think I will do it. What do you think? Man, give me a call, 313-355-6018. If you have a comment about Monique, black successful men being sellouts because they won't stand by somebody like Monique during the time that she's in based off of the decision that she made. Or how do you feel about the UAW workers in their strike? You know, do you feel like we're wasting our time? Do you feel like the companies won't give us our 40% increase? I mean, how long are we going to picket before we actually get a response, before we actually get the response that we want? Will we even get a response? Will we be forced to go back to work and receive the same wages and the same benefits that we were getting? Is it worth it? Is $500 a week worth it to your household? What can you do with $500? Do you feel like eventually they're going to just roll over and everybody's going to get what they're entitled to? Is it worth it to you, right? Or would you like to comment on Gilbert Arenas, you know, and his opinion on Hakeem Olajuwon charging over $50K to train new athletes on the moves and the way the game was and how the game worked for him 20, 30 years ago, right? We got about 10 minutes left. Again, give me a call, 313-355-6018. I want to get into our Boss Your Life Up segment. You gotta boss your life up. You know, during our Boss Your Life Up segment, we like to give some good game on what it is that you can do to be a better person. We're so appreciative for you taking the time out to listen. We still want to give something back, right? We want to give you something. And in the way that we give you something here at Put You On Podcast is we want you to boss your life up. We want you to grow, advance, whatever it is that you're doing. And usually when I have a guest here, I will give my guests the opportunity to give their Boss Your Life Up segment, their piece on our Boss Your Life Up segment. But since we don't have a guest this evening, and I'm rolling solo, I will give you mine. My Boss Your Life Up segment for this week, September 26, 2023, is do for self or suffer the consequences. Or never put yourself in a situation where you have to depend on somebody to pay you. You're able to go out there and get it on your own if you have to. If your job decides to shut down, your shop decides to shut down, if your job decides to strike, then you don't make any money, right? There's more ways to skin a cat in this world that we live in today. People are making money online. People are selling food. We got so many different restaurants and food trucks out here now that people are really doing well for themselves. You can become a hairstylist. You could become a welder, a plumber. You can work for yourself, whatever it is that you're into. My God, if you're into music, you can be a musician. You can be an artist. Musicians are getting paid all kind of money these days for their talent. You don't have to wait on somebody to pay you. You don't have to follow the rules of your company for you to get paid. You don't have to go home and say, "Oh, this is happening at work today. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow," and then you sitting on your thumbs trying to figure it out. Because, like I said, if they lock the door behind you, or if you come to work the next day or in the morning, and it's a sign on the door that says, "After today we're done," then what happens to you? Like, come on, people. We got families. The show got to keep going on. We got to keep this shit rolling. We really can't afford DTE, Consumers Energy, our mortgage companies. We can't afford to not be able to pay them. We got to keep this shit going. So even if you are working, no matter how long you've been working, if you feel like there's more that you can be doing, if you feel like you want to put yourself in a position where if this doesn't work for me anymore, I have another opportunity, or I can simply invest some of the money that I'm making here into my side project, right? You and your wife or you and your husband can come together with a plan and say, "Hey, let's build something. Let's build something else for us because we don't want to work for the man too much longer. Eventually, we want to branch off and be able to make our own money, be able to spend more time with our family, vacation more, have more, right? Or even if your side business doesn't work, it's still there for you. You know, you can still work at your plant or your job or your teacher, or if you're a teacher or whatever it is that you do, but you can always be working on something outside of that to be able to take care of you just in case the ball drop. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, "Do for self or suffer the consequences." And those consequences is sitting at home not knowing what's going to be next. And us as men, it is our job to provide. It is our job to know what's going on. It is our job to be able to lead our family in the right direction no matter what happens. And we can't do that if we're constantly dependent on somebody to take care of us. If we don't have a plan, if we don't have something that we can do on the side. I even heard people say these days, you need more than one income. And yes, you do. If you want to have something, you need more than one income coming into your household because it's slow out here, you know? And again, if something happens, you don't know what direction you're going to go in. I would hate to be the man that got to go home and tell my wife, "Baby, I'm going to need you to pick it up because I don't have a job anymore and I don't know what to do to make money because I've been working here for so long. That's all I know." So I encourage everybody out there to boss your life up, man, and brainstorm and think about what it is you want to get into. You know, you're never too old. You're never too young. Think about what you want to get into so you can be able to generate more income, make yourself more value, make yourself hold more value, bring more value to the table. You know, we're talented. You know, there's a lot of people with talents out there. Sell it. You know, I knew a brother that will go to garage sales and he will buy a bunch of small stuff in a garage sale. And then before he get home, he got people in front of his house trying to buy the product because he put it on Craigslist and eBay and Facebook Marketplace before he even got home. And people was already trying to buy it for an up price off what he bought it for. You know what I'm saying? I know a brother that go to the thrift store and buy a bunch of nothing, little stuff, and go on eBay and sell it in China to bring in extra income. So there's all types of ways and there's all types of things that you can do to make money. Don't depend on one job, one hustle, one stream of income because you never know what's going to happen. Listen, you are watching Put You On Podcast live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other type of social media platforms. Please like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Your likes and your comments mean everything to me. For you to go on our page on Wjzz Cool TV on Facebook and to see that even if you did not call in, you gave good feedback on the comment section, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate WJZZ. I appreciate Roger. I'm happy to be here. Next week, I will have a special guest. Next week, I have Billy Kason. Billy Kason has been very instrumental in the hair business over 30 years. Don't quote me. He's been here longer than that. Hair Designer Magazine, and he's actually been instrumental in my hair journey. I've been doing hair for over 20 years, and Billy Kason has actually helped me out on my journey. So we're looking forward to having him here next week, and you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week. Help somebody, pass the message on, and be great. I love you all, and have a wonderful week. Thank you. Put You On radio. Put You On podcast. We putting you on, baby. We up.